This is my Minecraft world, where I'm planning to run a real game of Dungeons and Dragons. And I've been working for most of this year on this, a giant redstone character creator that takes up most of the inside of this mountain. What's up, Yeti fans? Welcome back to the D&D Tavern. Today, we are going to be working on a little bit more of this giant thing. But specifically today, we're going to be talking about these books. Because our character sheets that we're going to create for people are going to require a lot of information. And we don't want to just have them write that information themselves like peons with a book and quill. No. We're all about automation here. And building unreasonably large redstone things to do a really simple job. Right? That's what you're here for, right? Okay, we're doing it anyway. Today, we're going to talk about mass duplication of written books. And specifically, we're going to create ourselves the challenge of creating an entire library of books and being able to duplicate any one of them at the single click of a button. Alright everyone, we're back inside of our mountain-sized character creator, which feels both simultaneously almost finished and not even close to finished. Because there's a few systems that we still need to put in, and beyond that there's a lot of decorating, because you see a lot of bare stone and dirt here, and I don't want anyone to be seeing this when they're going through here and creating characters. I want to sort of look fancy. So we have some stuff to do here, such as a spot where people can pick up their backgrounds. But I think actually the first thing we're going to work on today is this hall of species, because I've designed a machine for here, which is going to go in this space. I want to show you something that I think is incredibly cool, and that's how good instant droppers are. I've got two different versions of the machine here, and this machine is a book duplicator. I'll tell you quickly what it does first. So there are a bunch of different books in here. At the moment they're all the same, they're all just called my book. The idea here is that we could use this to duplicate spellbooks or the descriptions of species or all sorts of other stuff that goes in a book and the player might want a copy of. Now, what happens here is, and I can talk you through this while this is going, because this will take a while. I'm going to hit that note block, then the book is going to disappear from there. It's going to go down all this hopper chain here, and it's going to end up in this crafter. It's going to get crafted, and then you get the new book, and then it's putting the book back where it came from, and that's how long it takes. So let me just click this again. It's thinking, it's moving things through hoppers, and now it's done some stuff, and the book's going to come, and here's the book, and it's still putting the book back, it's still thinking, and eventually, there it goes. This machine here is the same thing with instant droppers. And here's what it does. Oh, it's done. How quick is that? Bam, book, and it's ready to use again. Book. What's happening here is where that hopper line was before, we have this line here of instant droppers, and they use this magical instant wire stuff, which is why we've got crazy rails all over the place. So we have an instant dropper line that takes the book out of the hopper, and then we have an instant dropper line that brings the books back, and I'm quite proud of this one, also puts it back in the correct hopper. I think I might have invented a new thing there. And finally there's another instant dropper line, this one here, that gives you the book. So yeah, bam. I love this so much. But yeah, this is good practice here, because for our dice roller, we're going to have to move items around really quickly. And knowing that you can do magic with these instant dropper lines is very good. Anyway, I thought you'd think that was pretty cool. Let me just briefly explain as well the thing that might be a new thing that I've invented. I'm going to show you a pretty cool solution to a problem that I came up with, which is how do you put the books back in the hoppers? So we've got one, let me do one that I can remember here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take the fourth one out. So normally what would happen is I put my book in this instant dropper line, and then I actually need to go to the other end to click this because weird Redstone update, all of this stuff. And what's going to happen is it's going to end up in this barrel. It completely bypasses the hopper, even though it is empty and it is enabled, because it doesn't even have a chance to suck the stuff out of this dropper because it goes across the whole dropper line in one game tick. But what we can do is this. We can move 1, 2, 3, 4 this block here. And I'm doing something a little bit different from what I normally do with instant dropper lines, which is I'm using quasi-connectivity to activate all of the droppers. And I move all of this one, it doesn't get QC activated anymore. And here's what happens. It ends up in the empty hopper. So I'm going to be doing some digging. This can come out because I've come up with something much fancier for this. And I think what I'm going to do first is set up a beacon and clear out a whole ton more stone. Alright folks, I've made some space and I've built a machine. It's storming outside, so I wanted to show you this in action, hopefully. I haven't tested this yet. So what I want to do here is hit this first one. So I've updated this. Ooh, hello. Aha, excellent. That should say copy of original. Yes. Okay, and that light turned off again, which means I think this is working. So what I'm going to do is for each of these, I'm going to make one copy with the machine, and then I'm going to put the copy down here so people can look through it and then see what's what. I'm not going to go through all of these. And then what I'm going to do with these here, let me grab some. I'm just going to cover these ones up for now. But if I was to press one of them, you'll see it's just empty book. I mean, it's not actually an empty book. But that gives me space if I want to add more species in the future. So I'm going to have to decorate all this, and I can take these out because those are just for illustration. Okay, time to make this look pretty. I regret to inform you, I've had a terrible idea. So while I was standing here thinking about decorating this thing, I wasn't thinking about how to decorate this thing. I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could use this to copy spell books? So yeah, when you go and pick up spells, when you choose your character or when you level up, you get new spells. And you could go and, read about this spell here and click this button. And, well, there's between 300 and 400 spells in D&D. So this machine here has 15 books in it. And so that's only 20 to 30 of these. This thing was quick to build, right? So it's November now. This is the reason that you're Now, seeing this episode in December, or possibly January, one thing I might need to do is, we'll make it a bit easier to get in this thing in the first place. One thing I may need to do is to make it a bit easier to maintain the books. So if I want to actually get access to the books and do maintenance on them, I have to get in here. And, hey, look, if I break this block, this isn't powered anymore, and now it's in here. So that's messy. Very, very messy. It would be nice to be able to actually see what's in here without having to break things. So I might do a little redesign, or I might just decide to live with it. Okay, I've managed to extend this thing. So we've added another 15 spots here. And if I click one of these ones on the end, there, that's still how quick it works. And stuff still comes out of there. However, if I click this one here, you will notice the book comes out quite a long way away. So you know what that got me thinking is, hey, what if we put in yet another instant dropper line so that the book comes up at your feet? I really love creating more work for myself, don't I? Hey, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Two things have happened, which often happen when I'm left by myself to play with Redstone. I have made this quite a bit cooler. I've also made it much more expensive and bigger. But let's focus on the cooler. So I put in these chiseled bookshelves and this return line of droppers. And now here's what happens. Your book ends up in the chiseled bookshelf. And so it's gone all the way up there, been copied, and come all the way back. And that's how long it takes. I think I might put in like a sound effect, like a book being written. That would be cool. The other cool feature that I have is I've made it a little bit less painful to load and unload. So let me press this button here. You can see that that's unloaded the book that was in this slice there. Unfortunately, I cannot see which ones are unloaded from this side, but I can from this side. So if I go down here and I can see, oh, okay, this one needs loading. So when I initially load them, I can just go down this line here. And we want all of these torches to turn on, and then it's fully loaded. Now, it is bigger, and I am starting to wonder where on earth I'm going to put this. Okay, it's one of these. Feats, nope. Backstory maps, nope. Spells. Okay, so this is the arcane library. And what I need to do is see if I can find room in here for multiple floors of spells. And can I fit, how much space do I actually need for like 400 spells? Probably quite a bit. I'm gonna design it in creative, and then I'm gonna see if it's even possible to fit it into this mountain. Because I tell you what, when I did the Hall of Destiny, I actually had to extend the mountain in order to fit the thing in. Okay, so far this is what I got and want to build. I've got these 4 hallways, which contain 6 sets of 15 books each. So this is 360 books. But before I build this, I might want to make this even stupider. Because the one feature that I would really love to have is to be able to indicate to the player which ones of these are, for example, wizard spells. So they only have to go and look at the ones that are relevant to their class. And that is quite a complicated redstone thing. But I have an idea. Okay, I've come up with something. It's kind of based on those multi-item sorters you might have seen. So what this hopper is going to do here is it's going to grab one item if it matches out of these. Now these will have a very specific number of items in. These have 1 stack 60 items in. So they give a signal strength of 2. And if this hopper manages to successfully grab one of the matching items, then the signal strength is going to go down to 1. It's going to unlock this hopper at the top. So what's going to happen is the ones that match are going to unlock, and then when this cart goes by again, it's just going to put the item back in. And furthermore, when the signal strength goes down to 1, this torch is going to be unpowered, so it's going to turn on. Then it's going to boop this dropper. Each of these has 1 item in. It's going to go into this dropper. It's going to light this lamp. So here it is in action. And let's say I want cleric spells instead. Let's grab cleric there. Obviously I'll be creating this automatically. Okay, now we know the first 3 are cleric spells. Now the question is, can I compactify this enough so that it doesn't... I mean, there is some room under each of these. Some room in here. Can I make it compact enough so that it doesn't massively increase the bulk of this thing? That's the question. And the other thing is I'm going to need an ink farm, because I spent an hour wandering around for swimming around getting squid ink. And, well, I got about 2 stacks. I'm gonna need several hundred books. I'm probably gonna need 1,000 books. And the same amount of squid ink and the same amount of feathers. I'm probably okay for feathers because I've been living off a chicken for a lot of the early part of this world. Yeah. Okay. Planning is gonna happen. Hey, Yeti fans. I'm standing in this red void because I've been doing some gathering of stuff that I need. And the stuff that I need is books, specifically books I can write in. And in order to get books that I can write in, I need feathers, which I already have a bunch of from having lunch a few hundred times. I need ink sacks, which I will show you in a minute. And I also need leather and paper. Paper I have from the sugarcane farm that I made last time out. So we're in the nether to get leather. And, well, I've already got a bunch. Because down here, just under the nether roof, there is a farm. And I have to tell you, I did not design this farm. Oh, it's going to be so noisy. I'm going to back up. So this is a simple starter Hoglin farm. And I have to confess, the tutorial that I followed was by Big Booty 17. Those are words that I said. This farm is sealed off. I'm going to use free cam to show you what's going on in here. It's quite clever stuff, and it took me about 20 minutes to build this, if that. Let's just say, oh yeah, I put it on shulkers. Let's just say I have a few pork chops now, and 2 shulkers of leather, which is, and that's going to be enough for a while. That'll keep me going. So I'm going to take those. I had a slight explosion, but I'm fine. I have a million totems. before I was so rudely interrupted by my own demise. Let's head out of here. So we're going to head this way, past the mountain, past our balloon. We're heading in roughly this direction. This Squid farm here is built in the desert to make getting rid of the water easier. So this here was a river, and I've just dried out a section of it. This farm, this is a pretty standard Squid farm. I didn't use any one particular tutorial. There's a few that use similar designs. So yeah, search Squid farm, you'll find a bunch like this. But this one here is also cranky a bit. I think I'll be fine. Okay, let's see if we can aim this. So we need to be in here. Ow. So, you have seen this place before. I have been looking for where on earth in this mountain I can fit the enormous machine that I need to build. Keep saying this to myself. And the only place really is here. And when I say here, I mean from here to about here. And quite a lot up and quite a lot back. I'm going to have to actually move the thing that I built in here. Poor planning. So it is, I think it's probably going to be something like 10 plus hours of digging. It's probably an underestimate. It's probably like 15, 20 hours of digging. It's the truly massive space I have to dig out. And I also need to go and calculate exactly how much redstone, etc. I need. I think it's a lot. Oh dear. I'll come back and tell you if I need a farm to build this, to collect any of those resources. Let me go and calculate. So looking at that horrendous material list, we are horribly short of a number of things, but mostly gold, quartz, and redstone. And we're going to fix the gold problem. And some of you might know why I'm busy breeding turtles and harvesting their eggs. Some of you may not, but I'm about to show you. And that'll also explain why I'm building this magma cube farm, because one of the themes of this episode is me building a farm to build a farm, because I'm trying to speedrun the infrastructure I don't have. And so this is me up on the nether roof using those materials to build a gold farm, which is one of these fairly common designs that uses magma for zombie piglins to spawn on and then attracts them into the middle so that they can walk to their demise over these trapdoors as they try unsuccessfully to stomp on some innocent turtle eggs. The tutorial that I followed was by Elitex, except I've put a crafting setup down here where it's all of the rotten flesh is just going into these lava cauldrons, and then all the gold is being crafted into blocks here. And that's about half the gold I need, so I'm going to have to do some more AFKing here. The other thing I think I'm going to have to do, because I need something like 8 shulkers of redstone dust, something like that. I think I'm going to have to finally build that witch farm. Hey, which brings us full circle, because we need to do something with that witch hut in the Hex Fen. And here we are, we found this witch hut on day 1 of this world, so we're going to make use of it. And we're going to turn it into a redstone farm. In case you don't know, in a recent-ish update, raid farms, which I have been using to get redstone, became less good, and witch farms became much, much better. So a single witch farm, which I'm building here, should be more than enough to provide the redstone I need for just about anything. This isn't my design, so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time showing it to you. It uses snow golems to make the witches walk off the spawning platforms. And with that, we have ourselves a witch farm, which I'm going to fly through like a lunatic. So this is functioning now. And what I realized that I've done here is I've bought myself some future building debt, because the whole purpose of this area here is that it's a cursed swamp. And I've made a cursed build, but not in the right way. At some point, what I'm going to have to do is replace this giant sunshade with something that covers this up, that's a little bit more lore appropriate. The other thing that I need to do is, I've seen this thing at night, and let's just turn lighty on here. So I'm going to make sure that every square in there is dark red, and also that every square outside of it is not only green, but also is unable to let slimes spawn, because this is a swamp. So I've got two things that I could do. I could torch spam everywhere, or I can turn on this despawn sphere here on Mini Hut, which is 128 blocks away from this AFK platform that I've just failed to land on. You should see the size of this thing here, which is absolutely massive, but on the ground, it's not so bad. So what I can do, a bunch of this, so you see a bunch of this circle here is already swamp, or rather it's already water. And I think what I'm going to do, rather than spam torches, is just take out all the land and turn this into more of this, more like 1 block high swamp. And here's me quickly doing that. And now, other than that bit of land that we used to get into the storage collection area, I think now all of the spawnable spaces are now water. Alright, I've AFK'd for a bit. Let's go and see. Hey. Good news. When I face plant into the ground. Now, I won't pop a totem. I've just been slowed by one of these witches. Okay, good. All the snow golems are still alive. That was the first thing I was worried about. Let's turn this off. Let's turn that off. Okay, good. Of course, there's one more thing. I realized we needed several thousand observers, which means a lot of quartz. And rather than go and mine all of that, I thought bartering might be the way to do it. So, introducing our new Priz employees. These are introducing Sir Oinksalot, Ham Solo, Richard of Pork, Piggy Stardust, Notorious P.I.G., William Shakespeare, Fyodor Dostoyevsky, and some pig. So I'm going to get some... laughing at my own joke. So I'm going to get some dispensers in and feed these guys some gold. And then we're going to see what they have in their pockets to trade for me. Hey, so it's several days after the last flip, and I'm about to show you exactly why that is. So we're heading back over here to the Hex Fen, where I'm going to show you some materials that I've gathered. And yeah, we can see them from the air here. All of these shulker boxes are, and this isn't everything, this is just the machine. I also need a bunch of materials to decorate it, but we're going to do one thing at a time. If you've never gathered a 1, 2, 3, and almost a third shulker boxes of observers, let me tell you, that's a bunch of effort. Through here, by the way, I did end up setting up a Piglin bartering setup, but I didn't plan it all that well, because even though there's 8 of these guys, it turns out so hoppers in this game, as we've discussed, are not fast. And you really only can reliably have 3 of these guys bartering before it overwhelms the hoppers. So yeah, all 8 of these not happening. At some point, what I think I'm going to need to do is either have 6 of them and double up the filters here, or possibly eject all of the items into the overworld and have a really, really really advanced high capacity sorting system. But anyway, this for the moment, let's see, there's no quartz in here. That's what I needed this for. There's so much gravel and so much blackstone, and I've already taken shulker boxes of these things out of here. I almost an entire shulker's worth of obsidian in there. I am never going to need any of this stuff ever again. But that's done now. I hopefully haven't missed anything. We're going to grab all of our shulkers from in here. Do these even all fit in my inventory at the same time? Let's find out. So many smooth stone, all of the rails and observers, and then all the rest of these. My inventory's full. I love that balloon still. Okay, so over here I have set up a beacon for a reason. And that is because in this area I'm going to build a small schematic.
It's not that small.
I think this is the biggest Minecraft machine I've ever built. And here's what it looks like. Yeah, it is gonna drastically change the shape of this mountain. And I'm gonna need to decorate this thing, because I was certainly not gonna leave it looking like this. I don't know whether I'm gonna get the whole thing, but what I am gonna do for sure is I'm gonna decorate the insides of these, because I need to transform these corridors into an arcane library.
I'm putting it off, see there's still time. The universe keeps drawing the line. Keep me honest, hold me still. The quiet pulls me in again. I'll own the weight of the things that I've done. eyes with who I've become.
I hope you'll agree, this is looking pretty. So I still need to put some carpet down in these holes here, but otherwise these are done and they're ready to be filled up with original books so that I can copy them. But I have one more feature. You might see that there are some lamps under these lecterns here, and I have another trick up my sleeve. So there is a thing I want to do here. So I think what I need is I need space for 8 buttons. And I'm going to put them here. I have another, a much smaller redstone machine that I'm going to build. And I'll show you what it does. So this is a much smaller instant dropper based creation. And what this does is it puts exactly 8 items of a very specific type into a hopper minecart, and then it sends it zooming around the rest of this machine to distribute, and then it brings them back. And the reason for that is I might just have been able to fit in that extra little feature we talked about earlier. Oh, and while I'm at it, I also just put down some carpets in all 4 of the corridors. So I've set up 8 buttons here, 1 for each of the classes in D&D that normally cast spells. And what's going to happen when I click one of these buttons is it's going to dispense 8 items into a minecart, and the items are going to match the class that I selected. And what I'm doing here is I'm filling up item filters for when we get those 8 items back. And what these are going to do is they're going to fill some droppers below here. And I'm going to show you what that does in a minute, but first I'm going to fill up the main machine here with the original books. So I'm starting with the cantrips and level 1 spells, and you can see here I have Acid Splash, which is the first of the cantrips. So we're just going to put that in this dropper. And there we are, that's charged. And I just need to do this a whole bunch, like 90 times for this corridor. And now let's come in here and quickly test this out. I'm going to click the first one and I should get a copy of that Acid Splash book. There we go. And what I'm going to do is pop that on the lectern so people can come in here and browse what the books are like. And there's one more touch I want to add, which is I have these music discs that I prepared earlier. And I have these little devices underneath each of the 4 corridors. Okay, it's time to add a little bit of sparkle to these proceedings. And hopefully this is going to work. Okay, it's not 100%, but most of the time it plays the sound. Okay, so you can see I'm making copies of the books here to put in here. Also, there's each one of these has a link to the spell on D&D Beyond. And amusingly, the lights up at the bottom. That's not that's not an intentional effect. I didn't realise actually that lecterns do that. I did have to use some commands to get the links and formatting in the books this way. If anyone knows a good data pack for doing that without commands, hit me up. Yep. One thing I'm going to have to do, by the way, is if at some point if and when I do a world download for this world, I think I'm going to have just the first page of each of these books. Because while this is all available online for free, and I have also bought the books, and I'm just going to use them to play D&D, and that's fine. What I can't do is distribute all of this stuff to other people. So, but that's fine. We have a plan. I love that noise. Now there's one more setup thing that I need to do here. And for that, I'm going to need an extra copy of all of the books. So we get to listen to these noises again. But let me just give you a couple here as illustrations. So what we've got here, acid splash, and then we got chill touch. Let's go down here. And yep, that's the place we need. Okay, so this first one here is going to be acid splash. So I'm going to replace these iron nuggets with one book. And I'm just going to keep a copy of the book in there so that I can refer back to it. And I can be like, okay, this book is for sorcerers and wizards. So here's what I need to do. Where are we? Sorcerer and wizard. So here, what I need to do is put sorcerer in there and wizard in there. And I'm going to do this for each of these books. And then I'll show you the result. Okay, so time to test this out. So what I want you to do is imagine that I have just created a new character. And let's say I'm going to be a spellcaster. So I'm in here looking for spells. And I want to be a druid. So I'm going to click the druid button. And what's going to be happening is minecarts are going to be going all over the place. We'll probably put... Oh, yeah, and here we go. You can see we have spells lighting up. And which ones are they? Druidcraft, as you would expect. Elementalism. Guidance. Mending. Message. And the spells we have Purify Food and Drink. Protection from Good and Evil. So all the druid spells. So now I, as a druid, now I know which spells I can take. And as a druid, let's say I want to take Druidcraft as a cantrip. And I grab that one. Sometimes the righty sound doesn't play. It's as consistent as I can get it. And I'll copies of all of the spells. So what I would do is I would go and take a copy of Thunderwave, etc. I would take a copy of Speak with Animals. There we go, Thunderwave. So, there we have it. One arcane library. So what I'm going to do is, between episodes, I'm going to fill in the other 4 holes. So we've got cantrips level and level 1 spells. And the way this is going to work out is, in this one, oh, we're missing a sign. This one is going to be level 2 and half level 3. Then up here, we're going to have level 3 and level 4 and 5, the rest of. And then the final hall is going to be levels 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the really high-powered spells are going to be up here. But I'm going to spend some time between episodes filling all of this in. But this is going to be the final episode for this year. And for those of you who have been on this journey since the start, well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a lot of work getting to this stage, and we are almost done with the character creator. And one thing we'll be tackling in the new year is we'll be finishing this mountain and also building more bits of mountain. I want to turn this into sort of half building, half buried in the mountain look. So what I want to do next year is we're going to finish this up. We're going to get the main entrance going, which is going to be in here. Out. We've got the main entrance into our Hall of Destiny, where we choose our class levels, and once everything in this mountain is complete, we're going to be turning our attention to over here, because around this sort of area, around here, I think, is going to be the actual arena where we're going to play, or we can do it in the shadow of the Temple of Amelin here. So somewhere around here, we'll be playing our D&D games, and I'm very excited about that. And lots of other stuff planned for the new year. We may be making a return to streaming at some point. But with that, I'm going to wrap up and wish each and every one of you a really, really happy holiday season and a lovely new year. And I'll see you soon in the next one. Until then, look after yourselves and remember, keep rolling those dice.